Welcome, noble Squire. Always
about squires.
noble Squire. I'm glad you came down today. It's been a while since I worked on you. Maybe 2 years? Yeah. But now you're here. We're circling back to a few years after our first treatment, another round of checking out what's up in your body. Give me the highlights. What's going on?
I got like a hip thing
Uh-huh.
going on, especially like on the sides. Just
You're
like a
feeling that.
random pain going on, especially while I'm doing the massage work.
Okay.
Sometimes when I get into a lunge, it just throws out a little too far or something.
Yeah, you're indicating kind of more into the socket and also that tensor fasciae latae
tensor,
area.
exactly.
Okay.
Up in there.
And I heard a knee action when you stretch it out. Is that feel related?
Well, I did injure this
Okay.
knee a while ago. Doing BJJ, which gave me kind of like sciatic pain.
Oh,
Down this leg.
how far down?
We'll say like right down
Through that medial.
through that knee, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But not into the toes or the foot.
No.
Okay. Limiting at the knee more or less.
Yeah, knee more or less. And that has more or less gone away.
Mm-hmm.
Like stretching, strengthening.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's still some stuff, especially like in the glute areas.
Okay. So we want to tie the lower body together a little bit, get that
lower body
intersecting.
We might have some stuff too.
Some movement.
A bunch of the college work that I've been doing.
Okay.
On the computer.
And you also had some emotional shifts lately as well.
For sure.
Is that picking up in the body right now at this moment?
Not really feeling it within the body too much, no.
Okay.
It's passing, but it might come up during the session.
It could, yeah. Well, that's okay with you?
That's
we
okay
have a little unfolding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing new to me.
All right. We won't be too surprised then. All right. I will step out and let you undress to your comfort level. And I'll rejoin you. Let's go face down to start, yeah? Okay. So today I'm working with the noble Squire. He's one of my Dungeons and Dragons friends and also a massage therapist. So I'm excited to dive in and see what's up with him today. Of course, as usual, let me know if there's anything that we can adjust to keep you more comfortable and let you get into that deep state. I also have been kind of chatting to the camera in the background, and I'll let you tune all the way out. You can respond or not, or whatever level you want to participate. And if it's just driving you crazy, you can let me know and I'll give you a little bit of a break to go deeper. But usually it seems like people are really dropping into a deep enough trance that it kind of doesn't matter what I say. So hopefully we'll find the sweet spot for you.
I'm very comfortable, thank you.
Excellent, good.
And the temperature is great too.
Good to hear. Got a fair amount of mobility in these phalanges. Toes are moving around. It's nice to get that settled. I know you spend a lot of time barefoot, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barefoot running is the best.
Are you running a lot?
Not so much recently, but I do. And then running barefoot, it works the calves a bunch too. So
Yeah.
there'll be a little something in there.
Absolutely. I think that makes a big difference on like your stabilization of the way that your foot lands is so much more alert, and keeping the fine muscle coordination of the calves dialed in does make a big difference. For the whole body, just letting your skeleton land with the frame more, able to do its job all the way through the feet, lets everything else take impact more efficiently, I think. I'm not putting a lot of pressure through here. I'm just kind of checking out how the skeletal system and the fascia system are responding to different pressure and leverage. Helps tune my hands into where I might expect to find any restrictions or places where the body is holding habitual tension that we might be able to tease away. And it was the left glute that had a little skin damage, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna jam into that too hard.
I think it's like
Right there.
yeah. It's a little guy. Little guy.
Alright. I already started to see. You might get this to just kind of settle out as you're resting into the table, but the development of those erector spinae muscles running up alongside the spine and stabilizing the spine, and seeing a little bit asymmetry there, where the right side of your body looks like it may be holding more of your weight on the day to day. Keeping track of the sacrum. The sacrum has a nice relationship with your pelvis. Congratulations.
Hmm. Oh, I brought a hair tie to tie my hair up too. If that helps.
Whatever you prefer. Got a nice strappy segment in this column here. Not exactly a knot because it's kind of continuous, this set. Muscle fibers bundled together here. So I'm going to circle back and forth with that one. You breathe like a body worker. can always kind of tell the difference with people who are more embodied versus people who have not had as much time to think or focus about it with the way the breath kicks in.
Mm.
There's, of course, some like voluntary automatic switch over embedded in the breath, regardless. But when you're used to tuning into your breath more than the way that it responds to pressure and activates into that lower parasympathetic state earlier on in the process, really shows your relative attunement.
I try to do a lot of belly nose breathing too, like
Mm-hmm.
for like Tai Chi and stuff.
You're doing a lot of Tai Chi these days.
No, it's just a practice that I accept and try and follow.
Mm-hmm. Kind of philosophically woven into life more so than.
Yeah, and the alchemy of the alchemical system of the body they
Mm-hmm.
follow is pretty good.
How long have you been exploring that?
Mm, philosophically, a long time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it seem like it's kind of even in how it spreads in your life, or do you draw on it more when you're going through stuff?
Try and even. It's definitely a calling that, you know. Hmm. You're very sensitive, or your sensitivity is very good.
Thank you.
And the goal of Taoist alchemy is immortality. Whether that pertains to the body or not is up to interpretation.
Fair.
But I know from personal experience that your attention span is only like 5 seconds
Mhm.
without any sensory input, and it takes you 55 seconds to regain your attention. That's 11/12ths of your life that you're missing out from the present moment, you know?
That way of breaking down the math of it is quite profound. To take those second by second episodic awareness of the attention. I know you've done a handful of Vipassana journeys as well now. Just the two or more than that?
Just the two so far.
How do you find that impacting your bodywork practice?
Uh, very impactful for sure. It's a whole practice, and as far as body work goes, uh, I thought massage could replace the meditation practice, even though it helps a lot. You learn the equanimity and working through your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and not being attached in that regard. But it's a lot for other people rather than for your own self.
For you as the
Yeah,
practitioner.
as a
Yeah,
practitioner. And so it's just, I'd say that's the biggest difference between those two in that regard,
yeah,
even though they mutually benefit each other
absolutely.
in some
Yeah.
ways.
I like to think of massage as receiving massage specifically as the sort of meditation with training wheels, in that the effort required to kind of hold a picture of the mental state that you're wanting to achieve is reduced because somebody else is kind of holding the space of knowing what to expect
Mm.
and being able to kind of register if you are in fact getting the desired outcome. Because for a lot of people whose experience with meditation is really low, and especially people who struggle with attention span stuff generally, that even being able to produce that self affirmation of I am in meditation now, and to recognize and accept that they've achieved this state can be really difficult. And so having a practitioner that is experienced with recognizing when the nervous system has dropped into that receptive parasympathetic meditative state, I think is really helpful for people, and that moment by moment encouragement to descend into a deeper level of calm to coax the nervous system into more internalized awareness. I've had a lot of people that jumped across sort of a barrier of not fully being able to meditate, like thinking that they were not capable of meditating. But that after they had gotten into that deeper state with the assistance of massage, then they were able to imagine what it was like and use that internal picture to guide them back into those theta brain waves, parasympathetic activity, all the good stuff. That's the, more technical description of the magic that's happening with meditation.
Yeah.
So that can be really profound.
Yeah, it's an interesting aspect
Yeah.
to look into. I can imagine as well that the subconscious has a lot to do with that as well, just bringing them more aware of the body and the
Definitely.
trapped blockages that occur with the mind that exists there.
As they start to be more attuned into the specific moment by moment sensory experiences and have more tolerance for it, like you were describing, like if it takes you 55 seconds to regain focus,
Yeah.
then that's a lot of time lost incrementally out of your life, right? But
And a
that,
lot of people who are distracted by the social media, they don't even have 5 seconds of attention span.
yeah, absolutely. That playing out 5 seconds, 5 seconds of attention span is
Could
like
be a lot.
physically painful for a lot of people. The impulse coming from the body to switch gears
Yeah.
is so much stronger than the incentive to stick with whatever's happening in the moment.
I forget where I heard this, but apparently the average person today has a worse attention span than a goldfish. And that, to me, is absurd.
I'm so curious how they actually measured the attention
Measured?
span of a goldfish.
Right?
Like, what do they get goldfish to focus on that's good enough that you would know? You know what I mean? But yeah, absolutely. Our attention span capacity on an individual level as a society, we've been really challenged. So I think it's super precious to for either whether I'm giving or receiving, just taking a full 60 minutes, 90 minutes where the entire goal is to like drop into deep somatic awareness to feel the sensations of what's actually happening in the body.
Mm.
And just that, like nothing else has to get accomplished. Like it's absurd to use time on the massage table, which is quite expensive if you're paying for it.
Yeah.
Like that people are almost able to accomplish an incentivization on a commercial level about how precious their attention is when they're on the massage table. That's like really hard for them to really speak to inside of themselves about other times free stuff like social media scrolling or chatting with somebody that you're not really invested in or
Sure.
getting attention some kind of way.
Or just work, like
Work.
a lot of people that get on the massage table, they go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm thinking here, like, man, you're missing out on so much work.
Right? You could have had
Is
that
sleeping. I mean, I get
sensation.
that you need to sleep because you're lacking on sleep, but
Yeah.
you're paying for the massage, and
It's nice to be aware of it.
yeah.
Although the tissue does remember, like the nerve endings have the experience, whether or not the frontal lobe records it. But yeah, I agree. For me, I'd much rather stay in that dreamy but aware state than actually fall asleep during massage.
Yeah, and if your body is just really needing the rest, like why
Yeah.
stop it?
Yeah.
But ideally, you get your rest outside of massage.
Exactly. Like a massage could accomplish so many goals, but it doesn't have to accomplish all of the goals. We can get more out of it if we meet our basic needs other ways in between as well.
Exactly.
I get a lot of massage, so I definitely feel qualified to comment on the experience of being massaged.
Since I work over on Kono's side too at the spa, I have a lot of colleagues or co-workers to trade with.
Are you able to get in trades over there pretty often?
Mm-hmm. And the neat thing too, we get paid for it. So
for during the trades?
Yeah, during the trades because it's training.
Absolutely. It seems like a good way to set up, especially early on when you're building up that experience. But you're also spending a fair amount of time in your own business now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been good. Mostly just doing the trades for now.
Mm-hmm. Building up your studio and
yeah, and imbuing the space with that energy.
mm-hmm.
Giving friends and family a lot of massages as well. It's been really busy recently though over on Kun's side.
More than it had been.
Yeah, more than it had been even a month ago.
I'm sure that makes a difference to feel like you have enough work to make the drive worth it.
Yeah, it's quite the drive. I think some of it has to do with summertime approaching and a lot of people going to enjoy their vacations in Hawaii for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make time for that. A lot of the tourists try and get here during the winter while it's snowy on the mainland, but they're missing out on some of the best weather in Hawaii. Because in the winter time, it's all rainy.
Yeah, especially on the east here. We have
Yeah.
like spring is our most real season. Like that we get those April showers about as bad as anywhere. You have quite a lot of stylistic trainings at this point. I feel like I saw a list not too long ago of the different styles and modalities that you were using in your massage practice. Maybe that was on the business card that you left.
Mm.
What do you think you draw from the most often?
Definitely the Lomi Lomi.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people come to Hawaii, they want a Hawaii experience with the massage. And the Lomi Lomi gives that. And the cool thing about the Lomi Lomi is it's less wear and tear on the hands. It works larger surface areas.
Mm-hmm. Definitely a lot of stimulation
Yeah, and you
in
can
bigger
go
swaths.
deep for sure with it as well without having it be too much work on the practitioner. And I get a lot of folks that they need deep tissue work, but the hands can't always do that. They weren't designed for that to do that all day long.
Yeah, for people who are like completely dependent on trigger point therapy or
Yeah.
I've seen some wild statistics about the length of career for massage therapists. And I don't want to make it up, but I was really startled by how short the average massage therapist career was, and that what I was reading was indicating it was specifically injuries that get people out of the field most often. And I thought that was surprising.
What's the most common injury?
Wrists.
Wrist.
Yeah, carpal tunnel is the big one that gets us.
Hmm. I'll have to keep that in mind because without doing much research, I just thought it was thumbs because we use them so much.
Yeah, definitely. Well, pressure through the thumbs definitely is going to contribute to impact on those wrist bones
Wrist.
as well, of course. So
They're
I
all
suppose it could be
connected.
compounded from like inefficient thumb usage, but also taking too much pressure on the wrists while they're angled can apparently be really dangerous long term. I know you went to massage school with your dad. I've always been kind of curious about that. How did that come about? That plan.
Well, growing up, we'd always kind of like massage each other for our various needs after like doing a bunch of gardening work or landscaping, whatnot. And we thought it to be a good idea at the time to go into massage school together.
Nice.
And we found a really great practitioner, teacher, longtime veteran, massage veteran. Her name is Janet, and she works over at Hawaii Printing here in Hilo. in the same building as that
Oh, okay.
business.
Ooh, we just got a little bit of a reflexive protection action that went really all the way up into the leg, and it was that like medial chain that you had described earlier was giving you trouble. So I'm wondering if we can get some reflexology leverage on that system. So I'll sink in on your foot while you continue your story.
Oh yeah, she was really good. She's pretty closed off in her practice now. She used to work out of the whole building and had a big massage school and everything.
Wow.
But as she's getting older, she dumbed her business down, and uh, with her massage school, she only takes a few students at a time now, and all of it's mostly one-on-one
Wow,
training.
really?
Yeah.
That is a nice model. That's one of the really unusual things about Hawaii for a place to study massage therapy is the we're a little bit the Wild West in terms of legislation. And so some of the models that schools and instructors are using to train students are really unusual and would be like not possible financially in most other states at this point. But in Hawaii, you can get a license completely on a apprenticeship model, which makes it really accessible for practitioners who are actually quite qualified, busy practitioners to also be doing a lot of the training versus in other places where sometimes the instructors for the schools have barely been in the business for a long time. Of course, lots of them are straddling both worlds in some ways, but it makes it interesting where people can participate on a scale that is like economically limited in other places.
Yeah. I kind of wonder how much they're just trying to make a big buck real quickly without thinking for the long term of the business.
In terms of
In terms of just the amount of students that they take on a lot of the
some of the
time.
mainland schools that are like super consolidated with like
Yeah.
yeah.
Where
When
like
I was
there would be one teacher among like 20 students, and they're like, all right, here's the move.
exactly
You all just.
right, and like if it's math and you just there's a sheet at the end and you're either right or you're not right, it kind of makes sense to consolidate that way. But for this kind of work where it really is this very nuanced awareness that needs to pass from one generation of practitioners to the next, that level of consolidation is really absurd.
Definitely.
Yeah. I looked at a school that the cohorts, because I was looking at training in Washington, and the cohorts at one of the schools that I checked out was 50 students. And I'm like, one, that's an odd number. How do you have like, how do you like get that many people in a room that still feels like massage therapy is happening? You know, like that's so out of ambiance. The ambiance is really
Yeah, how
important
would
to
you
me.
make that work? Like,
Right? It's just like a bank of like 25 tables.
rent out a whole gym.
Right? James Anderson is asking, what's it like to live in Hawaii? Is it exuberant? Ooh, that feels like an invitation to talk about the energy.
Exuberant. I haven't heard of that word in a while.
Yeah, exuberant of being able to spend so much more time outside and be more connected with nature than in a lot of places. I grew up in the Seattle area, and in those conditions, it was like you had to really toughen up in order to like be outside for a huge portion of the year. And so the amount of kind of accessible energy from nature directly was really limited to like the summer good, you know, who are more cold tolerant than me do better than but yeah, I think purely on the basis of temperature and kind of ambient weather effects, easy access to the water, all of that adds to a sense people really appreciate when they first move out here. And I think on a like vibrational level, like they say that the water, like the ocean, is putting off pretty huge volumes of alpha waves, and the mountains are putting off huge volumes of theta waves. And so, like in a lot of places, you're getting like one or the other in terms of that huge geological influence on your cognition. And here we're always in between both. That they'll say Makai and Mauka, meaning towards the water or away from the water up the mountain.
I like that.
And there's nowhere else to go. Like either it's towards the water or there's away from the water towards the mountain. So I think that's really baseline healthy, and there's a lot of that traditional spirituality still actively present, which I definitely think influences our collective consciousness experience and has an impact on that sense of connectivity with the divine and with the spiritual realms. And people talk about like meeting Pele and becoming more integrated with their relationship with the earth through this really specific personification of the goddess of the volcanoes here. And so that all can have a lot of exuberance to it. On the flip side, when people leave, they leave hard. Like people will have really strong feelings of a sense of being rejected by the island, or like the Aina, the land, didn't receive them well or didn't want them here. And I hear people talk about that a lot too. Is that something that's come up for you as well?
Yes. A few times I just had to leave the island just to have it call me back. I'd say for a lot of those reasons, in the diversity of spiritual practice that exists here, it feels very different from the mainland. It doesn't even feel like a part of the United States. It's its own thing. And I hear a lot of like the locals, especially in the Japanese community, compare it to Japan in the sense that they consider Hawaii to be like old Japan, because they don't follow a lot of the westernization of their culture. They mostly kept it in its older form here. Oh, that's a good spot.
We started getting some reactivity. I tend to focus a lot, like I'm very much a nervous system specialist. So I tend to focus on some pretty fine data coming through the neuromuscular system. And so I love anytime that we find like a place where there's involuntary reactivity happening, and we know that old code has basically gotten lodged in the neuromuscular junctions, more or less. A lot of the time, sometimes it's the muscle fibers themselves, sometimes it's the muscle spindle cells, but picking up that information where I can take for granted that on a cognitive level, all the instructions that you're giving your body are relaxation, settle onto the table, give up your weight into the direction of gravity. And so anytime that there's action in the body on a fine level that's away from gravity, essentially, that's telling me something about what's going on with your subconscious. I remember thinking when I first got here, like, it's a little bit going back in time in the sense that, like, all these technological innovations and these big, like, corporate actions and impacts that are happening in the commercial world, that have really swept through the mainland, the chains and the franchises, all this stuff that exists. Like, so much of that hasn't made it out here just because it's cost prohibitive to do the shipping involved to get that stuff. So like we have a few PF Chang's and like Taco Bells. We have a couple of Taco Bells. But even places like Burger King, like they exist, but they go out. Like they literally go out of business at a rate that's like wouldn't make sense on the mainland. And places that are local that definitely have a feel like this would have been driven out of business by competition in a more metropolitan, more like mainland area. We still have like a lot more kind of mom and pop shop activities and little places that are like, they're just not prioritizing the same economic values that are present in the rest of the United States because of the economic limitations involved. Like, let's comment on the economy while I'm up in your calf hardcore.
Love it.
This is some good response. I'm liking what's happening, so I just keep going back over it. Like, give me a little more.
And with the laid back nature of this place, it kind of takes you back in time in which the standardized idea of time with that go, 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 like economical growth mentality just is less prevalent here. And in that sense, it kind of fuels each other in a way. It's interesting to witness.
Definitely.
Yeah. For that reason, it can also be frustrating for some to see things take a lot longer starting up here in Hawaii.
I remember first trying to register my car, and the way that they have it set up, like it's a safety check system, but which I hadn't lived in a place where you had to get routine safety checks before, so that by itself, I was like, what? But the relationship between the DMV and the mechanics that are doing the safety checks is like really chaotic feeling, and like they don't seem to really communicate, and you have to carry papers back and forth from one to the other like multiple times, like maybe 3 times of going to the DMV in order to like get all the questions clarified. And like I was kind of freaking out. The mechanic who was doing my safety check was like, your window tinting is too dark for passing the safety check. And I'm like, what? Like, what am I? It's literally standard Dodge Caravan window tinting. Like, what am I supposed to do about that? And so he was like trying to show me how to take it off with a razor, and I'm like scraping it off. And so my windows just have glue instead of being tinted. I'm like, there's no way this is safer than just being tinted. And they're like, well, it's just the rules. That's what you have to do. So like 3 more trips back and forth to the DMV. And I'm telling the mechanic, like, I just don't know what to do. Like, I'm going to get pulled over and then I'm going to have to pay a huge fee. And I was like very stressed out generally. I hadn't settled myself down by then in life. And I remember him just looking at me and being like, lady, you're going to be fine. Like, nobody is looking around trying to catch people who are still in process. Like, you're going to get away with it. Yeah, it's a lot of steps, but you're going to be fine. He's like trying to reassure me. But I remember feeling like this is very mainland behavior, how worked up I got about receiving this whole process, getting through it. Yeah. So I feel I have really kind of healed my relationship with time and space in a lot of ways, being out here and it being like a little bit like the 90s in terms of what's happening on the landscape, but also like we still have like Chat GPT in our phones. So it's like time traveling with all the equipment like Star Trek.
That's funny. Sometimes I'll put a blindfold on my clients facing up.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Block the light. Would you like a little
blocking the light, but
exciting? Go ahead.
oh, but also like they're staring at you while you're working. That's
Oh
kind
yeah,
of uncomforting.
absolutely. People who receive massage therapy and keep their eyes open the whole time, like it's not wrong. Like some people act like it's morally an issue or like that's creepy. I've heard other therapists say like in a judgmental way, and I don't think it's wrong, but I think that it's often a sign that like people have very little experience being safe enough to really deeply relax in another human's presence. And so I want to make sure that they have that experience while they're with me and
Yeah.
a little bit of guidance of that automatic behavior of closing eyes, opening eyes, I think benefits them. I think I've ever had somebody keep their eyes open and it was like they were insisting that their eyes stay open. It just almost didn't occur to them to shut down all the way. I actually have a pack of eye masks also that like strap on, but I usually end up giving people just one of the washcloths that are part of my hospital laundry collection to rest over their eyes, and I'll often wrap a hot pack, like an eye pillow. I have some different like lavender eye pillows that I'll take out of the towel warmer when I have the towel warmer on and then wrap that in a cloth and put that on somebody's eyes.
It's also kind of nice at the end of the massage is pairing that with like a cold wet towel.
Uh-huh.
Cold compress.
Yes.
They gave the
Absolutely.
system.
I love the like temperature contrast stuff generally. Do you do a lot of hydrotherapy temperature work?
No, none of that. But you know, mixing with the hot stones and
Mm-hmm.
hot and cold things,
Hot
that
and cold.
expansion and contraction.
Mm-hmm.
For the cold, do a lot of cold towels or refreshing gel. Can have that
Oh yeah, refreshing gel. I have these cool little devices. Maybe I'll show you this before you go. They basically make really perfectly shaped ice cubes. And so they have a soft edge to them and they're almost like in a silicone handle. Wow. They're gradually melting onto the person. So I'll use that there's a modality that I learned way back in massage school. I do it from time to time still, called spinal flexion, where kind of drawing on the craniosacral principles of manipulating spinal fluid, but using hydrotherapy kind of applications where that heat and cold contrast is what's driving the circulatory pressure on the spinal fluid. Really beautiful effect. You like rush out like
sounds glorious.
Mm-hmm. It's like too much coffee with no jitters. It's really fun. I should do that sometime. I haven't actually been able to find a lot of material about it. It's one of those things that's like once you know what's happening, you can feel what's happening under your hands, right? And so like that's absolutely what's happening, and you're getting that result of the spinal fluid changing out so fast that all the neurotransmitters that are just lurking in the spinal column are like hitting your brain all at once. You're like, woo! So that's fun. But there's not a lot of documentation, and I couldn't figure out like who invented this when I did research about it a while ago. But I probably didn't spend enough time to really problem solve on that one. All right. How are you feeling, Noble Squire?
Groovy.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Tell me about your experience.
I definitely felt my nervous system being taken into account in your practices, and
Thank you.
afterwards, I definitely feel a lot more calmed, aware, centered. Feel very good.
Good, good. How
Yeah.
about that hip? It was a left hip. That hip spot. We got in there after our stream ended, so unfortunately, some of our really cool action was not captured
Yeah, that was
on film. But how was that for you?
that's the best action. It's very good. Um, the work that you did was great sensitivity, and
Thank
you're
you.
able to feel into all the spots. Much more so than any other massage therapist that I
Wow.
traded with. Yeah.
That is high praise. Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate that. And I know we had a schedule for a trade all the way around, so I look forward to getting on your schedule as well.
Truly.
I'll have
Yeah.
to dive. I look forward to getting on your table as well, Noble
Awesome.
Squire.
Awesome. Yeah.
Excellent.
We'll see how it is. Do you enjoy more the type of massage that you give, or what kind of massage do you?
That's a great question. Yeah. I really like the experience of kind of shopping around and getting everybody else's style. I feel like there's so much personality in every massage, no matter how you slice it. And so, like, I enjoyed just the feeding both nervous systems together and kind of being in that in between zone as well. I'm tolerant of pretty deep pressure, and I do like that, like really focused flossing with the contrast of I know you do a lot of lomi, and so the like big sweeping and then the fine flossing back and forth. Yeah, exactly. Rotating through. Cool. We're going to sign off for today. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and we'll see you another time. Yeah.
Squire. Over and out.